Hey everyone, welcome to our deep dive into the magic of thinking big.
Yeah.
We're going to unlock some seriously potent strategies for success right from the pages of David J. Schwartz's classic book. You've mentioned that you're looking to see how a shift in your thinking can lead to some big changes in your career and life. And well, this book is all about that journey.
Yeah. You know what I find so interesting about this book is how it doesn't just tell you to think positive. Schwartz actually lays out a really practical, step-by-step approach to shifting your mindset, which he argues is the foundation for achieving almost anything.
Okay, let's unpack that. Right from the dedication, Schwartz, he sets the tone with this story of a young boy who wants to be a professor of happiness. Like, even as kids, we kind of get it.
Yeah.
What we believe kind of shapes who we become.
It's a beautiful illustration of that, just the purity of belief. And Schwartz takes that and he turns it into a core principle. Belief isn't some mystical force. It's the practical starting point. It's like setting the thermostat for your potential. If you believe you can succeed, you're just way more likely to put in the work and make it happen.
So how does that play out in real life?
Yeah.
How can we actually cultivate that belief?
Well, Schwartz, he identifies this disease he calls excusitis, and it's something that I think we're all susceptible to. It's those excuses that we make. I'm too old, I don't have the resources, it's just bad luck, that keep us from reaching our full potential.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. But how do we break free from those excuses?
It's not about denying the challenges, right?
Right.
But recognizing how excuses can kind of become our default way of thinking. The book actually highlights several different types of excusitis, blaming your health, your intelligence, your age. But he also provides some really powerful examples of people who overcame these limitations.
He tells the story of the man who decides to become a minister at 45,
Right.
proving it's never too late to chase those dreams.
Exactly. And he also talks about the salesman who sees another salesman's success and just chalks it up to luck, completely overlooking the effort behind it. So, thinking about your career goals, is there an excuse that you've used that you think might be holding you back? Could reframing that excuse into a more empowering belief actually change your approach?
That's such a powerful question. So once we start to challenge those excuses, we need to build genuine confidence, to take action. And Schwartz really emphasizes that confidence is built through action, not just thinking positive thoughts.
He's got some really interesting techniques for this. One is managing your memory bank, actively depositing positive thoughts and experiences, so that when doubts kind of creep in, you can pull out those positive memories to boost your confidence. Think of it like building a mental arsenal of your past wins.
That's so clever. It's like giving yourself a pep talk from your own highlight reel.
Yeah.
He also talks about acting confidently to feel confident. Things like posture, smiling, speaking up.
Absolutely. And he uses that great anecdote about the hotel clerk who remains calm, even when dealing with a really abusive customer, because he understands that the customer's anger isn't actually directed at him. He's able to maintain his composure.
That reminds me of the advice that you gave me before big presentations. You said, they're not actually looking at you. They're focused on the information.
Yeah, it's about shifting your perspective, realizing that our fears often magnify situations. So what's an area where you're lacking confidence right now? Maybe negotiating for a raise or speaking up more in meetings. What's one action you could take today that would actually make you feel more confident in that area?
It's all about taking those small steps and building momentum.
Exactly. Now, here's where the magic of thinking big comes in. Schwartz challenges us to go beyond overcoming those limitations and actually expand our thinking. It's about seeing possibilities where others might only see obstacles.
He talks about adopting a big thinker's vocabulary. So instead of saying, I'm stuck in this dead-end job, you might reframe it as, I'm gaining valuable experience that will help me reach my ultimate career goals. It's about shifting your language to shape a more empowering mental picture.
That's exactly it. The language we use shapes our perception of reality. He also talks about stretching your vision, actively looking for potential in things, people, and yourself. It's about asking what if and seeing possibilities that others might miss.
He tells this story about a salesman who successfully sold a farm, not by focusing on its current dilapidated state, but by helping potential buyers envision its future possibilities. It's about painting a picture of the potential, right?
Exactly. And there's another example of an executive who finally understood the true value of a customer, not just focusing on one small purchase, but on their lifetime value.
So thinking about your own career, is there an area where you've been thinking small? What would it look like to stretch your vision and see those bigger possibilities?
Sometimes it's about shifting our focus, from what I is to what could be. But of course, even with the most expansive mindset, we all hit setbacks along the way. And Schwartz doesn't sugarcoat that.
That's right. He's got a whole section on turning defeat into victory. I love how he frames it. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about learning how to respond to it in a way that moves us forward.
Yeah, he talks about viewing setbacks as lessons, not the end of the road. It's about asking yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I apply those lessons to future challenges? You mentioned that you're facing some tough decisions in your current role. Thinking about a recent setback at work, how did you respond? What did you learn from that experience?
That's a really good question. I think I tend to get stuck in analyzing what went wrong, but I don't always take that next step of applying those lessons.
He also emphasizes the power of blending persistence with experimentation. It's not about blindly repeating the same actions that led to failure, but being willing to try new approaches. You're a natural problem solver, so I'm sure this resonates with you.
Absolutely. I love trying new things and finding creative solutions. It's how I thrive. But sometimes I get stuck in analysis paralysis.
That's where Schwartz's advice on goal setting comes in. He provides a really concrete approach, starting with having a crystal clear picture of where you want to be. It's about defining those goals in a way that aligns with your deepest values and aspirations. He suggests thinking about your ideal life, in three departments: work, home, and personal development.
Okay, so instead of just having these vague aspirations, we need to get specific and break those big goals down into actionable steps. It's like creating a roadmap, right? I've always struggled with actually writing down my goals.
He's a big proponent of that. He talks about developing a 2-year plan and then breaking that down into smaller 6-month goals. It creates a sense of momentum and helps you stay on track. He even tells the story of a man who achieved his dream of owning a country estate by following this very approach.
It makes you realize that even those big, seemingly impossible dreams can become a reality with the right mindset and a clear plan. Do you have any personal examples of using this kind of goal-setting approach?
Well, earlier in my career, I wanted to transition from research to more of a teaching and mentorship role. I was hesitant at first, but I set a goal to give a certain number of guest lectures within a year. It not only expanded my skills, but it opened up new opportunities I hadn't even considered before.
That's amazing. It shows how those smaller goals can lead to those unexpected breakthroughs. Okay, so we've covered belief, overcoming excuses, building confidence, stretching our vision, turning defeat into victory, and setting powerful goals. What else does Schwartz have in store for us?
This is where things get really interesting. He takes this idea of thinking big to like a broader level. It's about thinking like a leader, even if you're not in a formal leadership position.
I love that, because leadership isn't just about titles. It's about how you approach challenges and interact with others.
Exactly. And he outlines these 4 key leadership principles that are applicable in any area of life. The first one is trading minds with the people you want to influence. It's about understanding their perspective, even if you don't agree with it.
It's like that saying, seek first to understand, then to be understood, right?
Exactly. He shares an example of an ad executive who created a completely ineffective TV commercial because he failed to consider the target audience's point of view.
It's so easy to get caught up in our own heads and forget to consider other perspectives. I'm definitely guilty of that sometimes.
The second principle is thinking. What is the human way to handle this? It's about recognizing that people have emotions, needs, and individual circumstances that need to be considered. It's about finding that balance between logic and empathy.
It reminds me of those times when I've had to give difficult feedback to someone on my team. Taking that extra moment to consider their perspective and how they might receive the message has made all the difference.
And it creates a much more positive and productive work environment. The third principle is about fostering a culture of progress. Think progress, believe in progress, push for progress.
So it's about having a growth mindset, constantly seeking out ways to improve and evolve.
Exactly. He highlights the importance of setting high standards, inspiring others, and embracing innovation. He even suggests regularly reflecting on your work and asking, how can I do this better? What new approaches can I explore?
Those are such powerful questions to ask ourselves. It's about never settling for mediocrity, always striving for excellence.
And finally, the fourth principle is all about self-reflection. He says, take time out to confer with yourself and develop your supreme thinking power.
I love that. It's about taking that time to connect with your intuition, clarify your goals, and strategize. It's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of life that we forget to slow down and listen to our inner voice.
He argues that true leadership requires both action and reflection. It's about balancing the demands of the external world with the need to nurture your inner world, your thoughts, beliefs, and values.
It's like that oxygen mask analogy. You have to take care of yourself first before you can effectively help others.
Now let's shift gears and talk about managing your environment to make it work for you rather than against you. Schwartz argues that our environment has a profound impact on our thinking and behavior.
He's not just talking about your physical workspace, right? He's talking about the people you surround yourself with, the information you consume, even the way you dress.
Exactly. He emphasizes being mindful of the subtle influences that shape our thoughts and actions. He even talks about those suppressive forces, the negative you can't do it, people who drain our energy and plant seeds of doubt.
Oh, we've all encountered those energy vampires.
He suggests turning those negative people into a personal experiment. Observe their behavior, analyze their thinking, and use it as a reminder of what not to do.
It's like learning from their mistakes without having to make them yourself.
And on the flip side, he emphasizes seeking advice from successful people. If you want to achieve something, it makes sense to learn from those who've already done it. Think about it this way. Who are some people you admire? People who embody the kind of success you aspire to.
That's such a good point. I'm going to make a list of those people and see if there are ways to connect with them or learn from their experiences. What are some other ways we can manage our environment to support our growth?
Well, he talks about getting enough psychological sunshine.
Wait, he doesn't mean actual sunshine, right?
No, he's talking about seeking out new experiences, expanding your mental horizons, trying new things.
That makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
It's about keeping your mind engaged and stimulated. What else?
He also talks about going first class in everything you do. But he clarifies this isn't about being materialistic. It's about developing an instinct for quality. In the clothes, you wear the food, you eat the books, you read the company you keep.
It's about setting high standards for yourself and making choices that reflect those standards. It's almost like creating an environment that inspires you to be your best self.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so we've talked about our mindset, our goals, our leadership qualities, and even our environment. Where do attitudes fit into this picture?
Schwartz dedicates an entire chapter to the importance of attitudes, arguing that they are your allies in the pursuit of success.
He makes a fascinating point about how we communicate our attitudes non-verbally, even before we say a word. It's like those subtle cues we pick up on from other people.
Exactly. It's about our body language, our tone of voice, our overall energy.
And just like babies can spot a phony a mile away, adults are also constantly picking up on those subtle cues.
So if we want to project confidence and success, it starts with cultivating the right attitudes. Schwartz highlights 3 key attitudes that are crucial for success. The first one is the I'm activated attitude. It's about bringing energy, enthusiasm, and a proactive spirit to everything you do.
I love that. It's about being engaged, being present, being excited about life. How do we cultivate that kind of attitude?
He suggests a few things. One is digging deeper into things that initially seem boring or uninteresting. He argues that the more we learn about something, the more likely we are to find something fascinating or inspiring about it.
It's like that saying, curiosity is the key to the kingdom. The more curious we are, the more we'll discover. What else?
He also suggests lifting up everything about you.
Huh?
Your smile, your handshake, your walk, even your voice. It's about projecting an aura of energy and enthusiasm that draws people in.
I can see how that would make a big difference in how people perceive you and respond to you.
Absolutely. And finally, he emphasizes broadcasting good news. We've all been in those situations where someone bursts in with exciting news, and it instantly lifts the mood and energizes everyone in the room. He suggests that we should all strive to be broadcasters of good news. It's about sharing positive stories, celebrating successes, and focusing on the bright side.
It's about creating that ripple effect of positivity that spreads outwards and uplifts everyone it touches. What's the second key attitude?
The second key attitude is the you are important attitude. Now, this isn't about arrogance or egotism. It's about recognizing the inherent value and worth of every human being, including yourself.
It's about treating others with respect, kindness, and consideration. And it's about recognizing your own worth.
Exactly. And he makes this a compelling point that when you make others feel important, they're more likely to be receptive to your ideas, more willing to cooperate, and more likely to go the extra mile.
It creates that win-win situation where everyone feels valued and appreciated.
Exactly. It's those small gestures, like remembering birthdays, sending thank you notes, offering words of encouragement. That can make a huge difference in how people perceive you and respond to you. Now, finally, the third key attitude Schwartz highlights is the service-first attitude.
Okay, tell me about this one.
This is about shifting our focus from what's in it for me to how can I help others.
Mm.
He argues that when you put service first, success naturally follows. He uses the example of a busy gas station that thrives because the attendants go above and beyond. They clean windshields, check tire pressure, offer friendly greetings. It's not just about filling gas tanks, it's about creating a positive customer experience.
It's about exceeding expectations and making people feel valued.
Exactly.
So it's really about shifting that mindset from me to we and realizing that true success is often a collaborative effort.
Exactly. And this ties in beautifully with another key principle from the book, thinking right toward people. Schwartz argues that success hinges on the support and cooperation of others, and the way to gain that support is through genuine connection and respect.
He tells a great story about a salesman who attributes his success to his genuine liking for the people he sells to. It's like you can't fake authenticity. People can sense when you genuinely care.
It's so true. And this principle applies to all relationships, at work, at home, in our communities. Schwartz provides some really practical tips for cultivating this mindset. One is taking initiative and making introductions. It seems simple, but most people wait for others to make the first move.
It's about being that connector, right? Creating those bridges between people. I've definitely noticed that those who are successful in building relationships are often the ones who are great at making introductions and facilitating connections.
Absolutely. He also talks about the power of remembering people's names. It sounds small, but it shows you're paying attention and that you value them.
It's about making people feel seen and heard. He also mentions conversation generosity, which I love. It's about encouraging others to talk and actively listening to what they have to say.
Yeah, so often we're so focused on getting our own point across that we fail to truly listen. But successful people understand that listening is just as important as speaking, if not more so.
It's about creating that space for genuine dialogue and connection. And finally, he emphasizes practicing courtesy at all times. Those small acts of kindness can go a long way.
It's like that ripple effect we talked about earlier. Those small gestures of courtesy create a more positive and harmonious environment for everyone. So we've talked about so many powerful principles today, from cultivating belief to setting goals, thinking like a leader, managing our environment, and even the power of our attitudes.
It's a lot to take in, but it's so inspiring. It really does paint a picture of how we can create a more fulfilling and successful life by making conscious choices about our thoughts, beliefs, and actions.
And what I appreciate about Schwartz's approach is that he doesn't shy away from the fact that there will be setbacks along the way.
Right. He provides a whole framework for turning defeat into victory. It's about seeing those setbacks as opportunities for growth and learning. He emphasizes the importance of analyzing what went wrong, but not dwelling on it. It's about using those experiences to fuel our future success.
Yeah, he shares that inspiring story of his friend, the successful management consultant, who faced years of hardship and rejection before finally achieving his goals. It reminds us that persistence and resilience are essential qualities for success.
It's about embracing that journey, knowing that there will be bumps along the way, but trusting that we have the strength to overcome them. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the magic of thinking big, I'm curious, what stands out to you as the most impactful concept?
You know, for me, it's the reminder that our thoughts have incredible power. The way we think about ourselves, our challenges, and our potential shapes our reality. By choosing to think big, to believe in ourselves, and to adopt a proactive mindset, we can achieve extraordinary things.
I completely agree. And it's so empowering to realize that we have much more control over our success than we often give ourselves credit for. It's not about luck or circumstances. It's about making conscious choices. Our thoughts, our beliefs, and ultimately our actions.
He leaves us with a thought-provoking question. What kind of world would it be if everyone thought and acted like us?
That's such a powerful question. It challenges us to think about the impact we want to have on the world and to use these principles to create positive change.
So as you continue on your own journey, think about the impact you want to have on the world and how you can use the principles we've discussed to make that vision a reality.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another exploration into the power of ideas.